All righty. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on when time it is, what day it is, any of that. The internet is beautiful for that, right? Hello, and welcome to another session of Art Class with Herm. My name's Herm, and I'm a Brooklyn based illustrator, and I'm streaming to you from my home studio today in beautiful Bay Ridge. For the next 30 or 40 minutes or so, I'm going to show you how to draw a baseball themed drawing, most likely inspired by the Mets because we're all such big fans of that. But before we get into that, I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is our 11th episode, which is pretty cool. We're in double digits in Herm land, but not to worry. You can join us and draw with us on all of our previous episodes. You can do that by scrolling back on all of the 7-line social feeds, or you can go on YouTube and search Art Class with Herm. That'll bring you up to a playlist that'll show you all of the other classes that we did. So in this point, that'll be the 10 past ones. And you can draw beautiful things like Pete Alonso taking a swing, Jacob deGrom batting, Bobby Bonilla, Bobby Valentine, my bad, and the mustache, that beautiful disguise. We have a lot of fun in our classes, so please feel free to drop on that. All right, so let's talk about what we did in our last class, episode 10. So in our last class, we drew Jacob deGrom pitching together, which was pretty fun. So thanks to everyone that joined, and thanks for everyone that shared your drawings online. As usual, they were awesome. So fun to see everything. So as we usually do, we chose three artists at random to give them a $10 gift card that they can use on the 7 Lines website. And those gift cards for our drawings that we liked were for Christian, Jennifer, and Carolyn. So thanks so much for sharing. Thanks so much for showing your drawings. And we'll reach out to you and hook you up with those gift cards soon. All right. So let's talk about our drawing today. Before we do that, let's talk about the supplies we're going to need. So just like we always do, there are no real rules with our art class this year, but I recommend some paper. This paper that I'm going to be using is just a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet that I took right out of my printer. If you want to get fancier, you can go for it. Maybe like a nice 300-pound Bristol board or something. That'd be fun. But then, yeah. Oh, goodness me. Look at that little shakes. I've got crayons here. Obviously, I got some blue and orange for our Mets drawing here. I'm going to be using my Pentel brush pen, which is my favorite drawing instrument. But you can use pens, markers, pencils, all that sort of stuff on it. All right. So today we are going to be drawing Shea Stadium. Goodness me. Shea Stadium. Pretty cool, right? So, if you're like me, Shea Stadium holds a special place in our heart. So it was first built in 1964 is when it opened its doors on April 17th. And the Mets played there for 45 seasons up until the last game, which was September 28th in 2008. That last season was pretty memorable. I don't know if any of you guys went to any of the Billy Joel concerts there. I think I went to the first one when Paul McCartney did not play. So I was kind of bummed on that. That was cool. The last game, I don't know if anyone was there too. Let us know in the comments. When the Mets lost to the Marlins, it was such a bummer because they were like, if they had won that game and this team had won, if all the stars aligned, there would have been some playoff baseball. Didn't work out that well. But we did have a nice farewell to Shea in a very somber setting attitude on there. Shea Stadium is named after Bill Shea, who is responsible for bringing the National League back to New York. So big ups to Bill. We love you, man. Hope you're smiling down on us. And another fun fact, I always forget that the New York Jets played at Shea Stadium from 1964 to 1983. So after you're all done here, I suggest going on YouTube or the internet and just Googling what that looked like. It's pretty neat to see the ballpark diamond over like the football field. So kind of fun. All right. So here we go. So this is going to be our drawing today of Shea Stadium. So it's kind of fun. Our palette, when I say palette, like the colors that I'm going to be using are pretty easy. We're only going to be using 3 today. It's going to be like this black to kind of give these shadows in, and blue and orange. Because one of the cool things about Shea is the whole thing is blue. And then for all these neons and stuff, we're going to use a little bit of orange and stuff on there. But don't worry if this looks a little intimidating. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to do this whole thing. So if you joined our city field drawing, it's going to be kind of similar how we start out. It's going to kind of be like these big shapes. And then we're going to go in and add some of these details. So don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to walk everybody through this step by step, and we'll have a good time. So bear with me. So I'm just going to throw my little notes up there so I can hit everything we need. All right, cool. You guys ready to draw? Yeah, what? I heard it. All right, let's do it. All right, so like I said, let's pull out our sheet of paper right here. So what's cool about this is I'm going to be drawing horizontally, which means my paper is like sideways rather than up and down like this. I'm going to be drawing mine like that. Now, the reason I'm doing this is just so I can take all of that space and make like a nice big city feel. Oh my God, I did it again. Nice big Shea Stadium on that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make like a big shape. I know it's a really vague way to explain it, but let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to start over here on the left. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my pen and I'm going to draw a line up. Just like that. Nothing too crazy. So if you want, like, here's the middle of my paper. I'm just coming over and you can see where that is. Nothing too big. Because I'm going to leave some space at the top for our fireworks and our neon baseball players too. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big arc that comes across. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to connect it from this line. I'm going to come up and I'm just going to pull that down and around to right here. So again, I started with this line and I made that big arc and I pulled it to right about here. So it's kind of similar to the space I left on the left-hand side of my paper. And I'm just going to draw another little line down like that. So now you have this interesting shape. And now I'm going to connect the bottom part, just like we did at the top. So again, I'm just going to have this kind of a curve right there on it. Great. So for all intents and purposes, this is the shape of Shea Stadium. Pardon me, I had a little coffee there. All right. So let's build this up a little bit more on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up at the top and I'm going to add another bit of a space. So so here's the end of our Shea Stadium right here. I'm going to come up a little bit, maybe like, less than half an inch. I'm going to come up and I'm going to add a line like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side too. So again, this is the end. I'm just coming in a little bit to give a little space. And I'm adding that little bit of a line. So now that I have my two lines right here, I'm going to connect them with the arc shape like we did up here. So I'm going to start on the left and just connect it. So I start on the left, but goodness me. So if it's easier for you to pull from the right, you can absolutely do that too. Don't worry about this little mark right there. Even the great ones make mistakes, right? But don't worry, we're going to cover that up with something later so we can make up any of those mistakes. All right. So now that we have this shape right here, let's go in and we're going to add in these shapes down here for the ramps on here. So if you remember, as some of the kids, if you weren't around for that, Shea Stadium had these insane ramps that would just like go up and down and all that. So that was always a really fun part, especially when they won a game. It was just like these echoes of everyone cheering. All right, so basically, so to keep pulling that back and forth, we're going to draw like 4 shapes. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll show you how to build those in first. So here's my main part of the body of Shea Stadium. So what I want to is that this part right here, I'm going to leave blank. Okay. So like from here to here. So I'm going to take a line on this end and I'm just going to pull down just like this right here. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to leave a little bit of space and I'm going to put another line right down here too. So this is kind of like our protected area in the middle. So we're just going to leave this blank for now. All right. So now we're going to kind of do the same drawing on this side and on this side for our ramps right there. All right. So here's our first, this is the side of one of our ramps. I'm going to come back a little bit to like right about here. And I'm going to draw another line down. Just like this. Apologies for my big hand being in the way. So I do this shape right here. And now we're going to draw one more line on there. So I'm going to come over here just a little bit and kind of like around this area right here. I'm going to take one more line. There we go. So if you can imagine, this is a ramp, this is a ramp, And we're going to do the same thing over here. So again, so here's my line. I'm going to come down a little bit over here. And my goal is to kind of copy, like eyeball measurement, the same space of these two ramps over on this side. So here, right about here sounds good. Put that right in there. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So a little bit of space. And leave that right there. Now, the reason we didn't add that extra line, so you see like this has two parts, use 1, 2, is because this part here, we're using this line and then the end of the city field. No, Shea Stadium. I'm going to do that the whole time. I apologize. So we're going to put that right there. So that kind of equals itself out. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of definition to these shapes right here. So this is what's called perspective. So this is just like a quick, easy trick you can do to make your drawing look a little bit more 3D to kind of make it pop. So the goal here is we're just going to like follow along with the the shape of Shea Stadium. So you see like right here in this corner, there's like a line that pops out, and the same thing over here. It's easier if I show you. So on this part right here, what I'm going to do, so see this line, I'm going to take my pen and I'm just going to come down just a little bit, just like that. So from the top, see that little line I added? Just a little diagonal line going down. And again, this is going to be like the side of our ramp. So now that I have that, I'm going to take my pen again, and I'm just going to connect this line down to the bottom of Shea. Pull that down right here. Just like that. So you can see how this looks like it's popping out right now. Kind of cool, right? All right. So I'm going to do that over on this side now too. So the same thing, but like opposite, like reflected. So again, just another little line that comes in like that. You see that line right there? I'm covering this one because that's a mistake. But there's that line right there. And again, I'm just going to take my line down now. I'm going to drag that down to the bottom of our Shea Stadium drawing right there. Cool. All right, so now I'm going to do a similar thing to these ones here, but I'm not going to make it as wide as I made these two because these ramps are closer to us, so it's not going to be as like rounded out. So on this side right here, I'm just going to do just a little line at the top there, and I'm going to just connect that down too. What's cool is if you're watching this at a later time on YouTube or something, you can always pause this and rewind if you didn't see what I was talking about. So feel free to use that. So you can see right here. So see that drawing right in the middle? I drew that like little bit of a line on the side there on the right, just to give it a little definition. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the left. So this shape here, another little line, and then I'm just going to drag that in. It's funny, I don't think that most people would notice this little line right here, but you know, as artists that we all are, we're adding marks to paper. That little bit is really going to make a nice touch. All right, so now that we have our ramp shapes here, let's go in. So I'm going to add another little loop or arc shape at the top right here. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to start on the left, and I'm just going to kind of round out the top. So you see that I'm putting one shape there, and I'm doing this at the top of all of our ramps. And again, this is just to add a little definition to our drawing of Shea Stadium. And if you look at a drawing of Shea, the whole ballpark is blue, but at the top here, there's like this white kind of line across. So that's what we're trying to replicate. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the sides. So remember this side where we had that little down angle? Same thing. I'm going to draw one little line down like that. And the same thing over here. So you can see on there, right up here, I had like two little lines. And again, this is just to follow the same type of shape. I did that the same thing on the right. And now I'm going to come down and I'm just going to make another little line that comes across like this. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to add, this is basically going to be that white area that we're going to leave at the top of our Shea Stadium drawing. So you can see at the top, there's just like that little bit of an arc. This will all make more sense when we start to color it in. All right. So now we have a good layout of it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to draw the ramp, the actual ramp in here. Now, this might look a little challenging, but I'm going to break it down for you so we can do it step by step together. And once we do it one time, it's going to be the same thing for all the other ramps. But let me show you what I mean. It's actually pretty straightforward. So I'm going to start right here with this one. So first thing I'm going to do is on this ramp page, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make this shape right here, kind of like a rectangle. So I made this rectangle, but I didn't close it off on the side. You see what I mean? So it's like these two lines sticking out. And now I'm just going to make it come down on this diagonal. So I'm going to come on the side and I'm going to do this. So that is our shape. So you came up here. The idea is you came up here and this was the upper deck and you just walk straight into your seats. So just to give it a little closer, that's the shape that we want. So it's kind of like a broken line, you know, kind of bent at it. Now, on this area here, I'm just going to draw some more of these type of diagonal shapes, but without that bend. So I'm going to come down, and I'm just going to draw a couple of these lines right here. Just these diagonal lines coming in there. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to fill up the rest of our ramp space here. Now, when you're doing this, I recommend putting like an even amount of space or the same amount of space between each shape, each little ramp here. Now, don't worry if this defies the laws of physics or gravity or anything like that. We're just having fun. So you can see like right here, this is like the end goal of my drawing. Nothing too crazy, right? So you can see just by doing those little straight lines, we're starting to get a little bit more shape of our ramp, right? All right. So now let's do the same thing on this side right here. But what I'm going to do is it's going to be coming the other way. So like, see how this one, it's like bent and going down to the left. I'm going to do this, but it's going to be bent and coming down to the right. So let me show you what I mean. So the same thing up here, we have that little platform, right? There's our platform. And now it's going to bend down to the right. Just like this. You see that right there? Now feel free to jump ahead of me if you want, but I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to draw these in. Now I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world to draw, but what's really fun about these little details that you can add will make your drawing look so awesome overall. And you'll be like, oh, thank goodness that I drew that. So pardon for my shaky lines right there. I'm drawing it like elevated. All right. So that's there right there. So now what I'm going to do, that we have that, let's go in and make it a little bit more 3D. So in this part right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another little shaped rectangle line right on this side right here. Let me show you on my finished drawing. So you see this right here? There's like this like white space. Again, that's just another bit of a 3D part on it. So we're going to pull that line down. But the main thing is I'm going to stop between every ramp. So you see it's not a straight line that goes right across. So I'm going to come over here on the left, and I'm just going to kind of have these lines. And you can see I'm just stopping between every ramp. This way, it looks like the ramp is popping out. So you see that right there? Kind of cool, right? Just with like 3 lines or so of these shapes, we were able to make it look a little more 3D. So just like I did this here, I'm going to do the same thing over here. So again, right here, I'm just going to have this line, and I'm just going to stop. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So you see that over there? I'm just drawing that line between each of the rows of the wraps there. Pardon my freckly hand. All right. Cool. So, and then the last thing we're going to do on these shapes here is we're going to draw these like 3 lines coming down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is just like a netting that was inside. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to take one line. And this one, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to have it go all the way through. So each line is a double line. So there's one. So you see, I just did that same thing. I just drew two lines to make like one of those shapes. And we'll do that again. One of my favorite things about drawing, especially like freehand like this with no rulers or anything, is it gives our lines a really fun look. You know, there's a lot of energy in it. Like it looks cool, you know? Now, I'm not taking it away from anybody that's using a ruler. That looks great. But I like my drawing. It like kind of breathes a little bit. You see how the lines are a little wobbly and such? I think that's a cool look. So you see that right there? This is what our finished ramp looks like. So now that I drew those three lines, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to put those in a little quicker so you guys can see. So just 1, 2, 3. So while we're doing this, feel free to write in the comments down there. What's your favorite Shea Stadium moment? Was there like a food that there was there, or like an area or something like that that you really missed compared to Citi Field? So I'll give you guys a second to do that. Coffee break. All right. So now that we did this side, I'm going to do this side over here, but I'm going to flip it. So like this is going to be the sides on this side. But let me show you what I mean. So again, this one here, I come down with that arch. I'm going to bring these lines down. So I'm going to do this section a little bit quicker, just because you guys already know what to do. You just did it on those last two. So again, it's just like this top line, there's that like the layer, and then it bends down, and then we draw these diagonal lines going down there. Let me just kind of get that there. The first Shea Stadium memory that I can really remember, and I'm sure there's ones before that. It was Jackie Robinson Day, the very first one, when they were retiring the number 42 across the entire Major League Baseball. And I remember Bill Clinton was there. It was pretty cool. I remember Wolf Blitzer from CNN was there, and my dad was like, "Oh man, that's so cool." And little me didn't know who that was, but my dad was excited, so I was excited. And then again, on this side here, I'm just going to add these that break in there to give that 3D bit. Yeah, but that was pretty cool to see that. I remember there's a lot of security. And there was that part right on field level that you had to have the special ticket to go in. You know, there was like that gate. I always thought that was so cool. And then right here, too, I'm going to add those 3 lines coming down. Yeah, but Shea was sick. I really like that. I guess it's still similar. I remember there was that guy that was always selling those like really gross not hot dogs, pretzels out of that shopping cart. And you would get one, you're like, oh, this is going to be so good. And it was basically just like toasted frozen pretzel. Ugh, what a worst $5 I ever spent. All right, so you can see that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side here too. Again, remember, I'm coming in like this, adding that in. All right, so we'll pop that in there. So again, not the most exciting thing in the world to draw. We're going to get to that in a second when we draw those neons. That's going to be really cool. Okay, and then again, another little space here. And again, that 3D space I'm adding is just a little bit of space. I'm just kind of stopping between all of my levels there. And then again, some more of those lines there. Now, if you're drawing these lines that are coming down and you like don't have enough space, like you only have space for 2 lines, you can have that. That's fine. Or even 1. There's no real right way to do this. I just put the 3 in there. All right. So you can see we're starting to get something, right? Pretty cool. All right. So now on this side, I'm going to add 2 more rectangles. So I'm going to start over here on the left. And I'm not going to have it at the same size as this ramp. I'm going to come down a little bit. So I'm just going to take that down, and I'm going to draw this rectangle just here on the side. You see that right there? So it's just on the side they're popping out. And I'm going to do the same thing on the right. So again, just a little bit down. Then I pull my pen down. And we have that here. So with these little rectangles that we made right there, so remember, Shea Stadium is curved, it rounds around. So these are basically these ramps, but just, excuse me, they're on the side. And then again, I'm going to put that little line at the top, just for that little white mark right there. All right. So now that we have this shape right here, let's go ahead. We're going to write Shea Stadium right here. So you can write it as big as you want, like Shea Stadium, home of the Mets, whatever you want to write. But I'm going to have mine like kind of in the middle. So it's going to like stay between this ramp and this ramp right here. So leave that up for a second if you want to copy that for a sec. You want to hit pause? There you go. All right. We're live. All right. So I'm going to put Shea Stadium right here. So Shea. So let me know in the comments too if anybody named your, like any if you know anyone named Shea. I know a couple people that have been named after Shea Stadium, which is kind of cool. A couple people who's like have pets named after Shea. It's a great name. All right. So I got my Shea Stadium right there. Pretty cool, right? So now we're almost there. So right above this, I'm going to add this kind of like a curved line on the side right here. See that little curved line? So it's just a line coming up, but just a little curved up. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other end, but just a little bit. Not a little bit, but just reflected. So now that we have these like two little arms, like, yeah, I'm going to connect them at the top with another arch. So we'll come across right here. There we go. So again, we're just going to leave that little bit of a bubble in there. And we're going to do one more of these layers on here. Because what we're drawing now, this is the upper deck seats. So again, if you've never been to Shea Stadium, it was very steep. I mean, it was like an incline, like almost 90 degrees. So as you got higher and higher up, you felt like you were going to fall over a couple of times. So that's like what we're adding at the top of here. So again, and then at this top here on the corner, I'm just going to add these two little lines on both sides up there. Just a little more diagonal, not so much curved. And then I'm going to connect them again with that arch. I remember it must have been maybe 2000 or 2001 or something. There was a game, it was packed. And I seen this guy, he took a tumble. He went down 2 rows. He also probably had about 30 beers. But we'll throw that away for a sec. It's pretty wild there. All right. Cool. So the last thing I'm going to do is in this section right here, I'm going to draw, you can see here. See here in this section, I have these like little lines that come across. So there's no real rhyme or reason to these lines. I'm just throwing those arc lines in there right above where it says Shea Stadium. And that's just to give the illusion of, levels of a seat. So I'm just going to come from left to right, and I'm just going to gently grab my pen right across the top. And I'm just going to gently pull in those arc lines in there. I'm just throwing a couple in there until I fill up that space. Nothing too crazy in there. All right. There we go. Not my best drawing, but we're here to have fun, right? All right, cool. First off, congratulations for dealing with all of the, the strict rules that we put in there with the lines and putting that all in there. Let's have some fun, and we're going to draw those neons in there. So this is what's really cool is I don't know much about the histories of these neons, but they're so awesome. So basically, these are just like giant neon signs of players, batting and catching and pitching and stuff like that. So I drew a couple of shapes up here. We'll get into this in a second. These are the ones that are going to be in the sky. But what we'll do first is we're going to draw the ones that go onto the stadium. So this is up to you, however you want to draw it. But the ones I'm going to draw in the stadium, I'm going to draw our guy batting. It looks like he just hit a ball, and this guy pitching up here. So I'm just going to put mine here so I can just kind of copy what it looks like. And you can see it there too. So on the left right here, well, before I get into that, I'm going to be using my pen to draw just these shapes. And then at the end, I'm going to take a crayon and go over those shapes, like trace it basically. But if you want to not have that black line, you could just do this with your crayon too. That's up to you. Or a pencil and use your crayon, lots of options. But I'm gonna add this black line in there to give it a little bit of a pop. So I'll come through this. So on this side here, we're gonna draw his hat first. So it's kind of like this little bump. And then this little curve around here. You get something like that. And then we'll come across here. And there's that little line right there. So that's kind of like the face. Then just in the face down a little bit more, there's like a little shoulder. So I'm going to add that in like right there. Just like that. It's funny, it's such a simple shape, but it's kind of hard to draw. So now I'm going to add like his arm. So I'm going to have this other line that comes down like this. So this is what we're looking like right now. And remember, you can pause this or along too if you want. But be confident in your line. You can always pop it in or draw it again too, you know? So now that we have our shoulder and our arm, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw another little line. This is going to be like another part of his arm on that side. Just like that. There's no real rhyme or reason to that. But just remember to add a little bit of space between each one to kind of get that shape. And now I'm going to draw his baseball bat. So his baseball bat comes up like this. There's like one line up for the bat. And then like the top part of the bat. So I'm going to draw this like kind of a curved shape. Just like this. So you can start to see, you see our head, right? There's our head and our shoulders and our bat. So just underneath this little shoulder, I'm going to draw like this like little circle shape. It's a little top one, the bottom one. So it's like the bottom part of his bat and a little bit of his hand. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to draw his buns, right? So I'm going to come down. This is his butt. It's just going to come down like this. And then another shape like this. So you can see that we're starting to get somewhere, right? Then there's like a line. So I'm going to draw one line here and then one line back here. So this is like his, you can see here. So I drew in it's kind of like a diagonal line that comes across, but I'm like stopping. So there's like, this is like the back part of a leg, right? There's one line and then one line right there. And then we're going to draw another line like in the middle of those two lines right here. And then another little line at the bottom for a little bit of a shoe. But I'm going to throw that shoe in the front. You see that bottom is like a smiley face I just made. And there's our guy. Not bad, right? The batter. So let's draw our pitcher now. Okay, so I'm going to draw this guy right here on this side. That's my little Chihuahua Daikon just came back from her walk, so she's a little excited to be on the TV. All right, so we're gonna draw our pitcher right here. Can you guys see that? Okay. So again, I'm gonna walk you through step by step on here. This is a challenging drawing, but again, like hopefully, I'm talking at a good speed for you guys to keep up. Let me know if anything you'd like. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and draw in that pitcher. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw like the brim of his hat. So I'm going to do that like right here. There we go. So just a little bit of a curved line. That's the top of the brim of his hat that covers his eyes from the sun. And then like right behind it, he just has like one little line. Just like the back of the hat right there. So that shape. Now I'm going to add this little mark right here. That's his like chin. And then we'll come across here. And we're gonna add that little bit of a shoulder right there. You see that? So now this is fun. So I'm gonna come up here a little bit. So my pen is acting up. So I'm gonna add a little bit of his arm. So I'm gonna come down here, like right underneath his jawline. We'll put this curved line like this. So this is gonna be his arm and his glove. And then to the right of that, I'm gonna have another little line that comes out like that. And then I'm going to put these 3 lines in the middle. So that's like a part of his glove. And then underneath, I'm going to draw these 2 other curved lines. And this is his pitching arm. And this is like the back part of his other arm, right? Something like this. Oops. Just like that right there. All right, so now I'm going to have another line that comes up to make like the leg kicking. If you're playing bingo and you get a point for every time I say add another line, you're probably rich right now. So there's like that kick off leg, right? All right, so now we're going to have this like curved line come across that's going to be like the back part of his leg, right? So again, come down as like his butt, come up like this. And then I'm going to draw one last leg down here. Not too bad, right? So you can see that's the guy right there. All right. So let me put this over here. So that's our Shea Stadium. So now in the sky up here, we're gonna work on some of our fireworks on here. So it's going to be the same thing as drawing these guys, these neons. See, it's a little challenging because we're not drawing like the full shape. It's like these like little bits of parts. What I did right here to make it a little easier is these are going to be the guys that we're going to be having in the sky right there. So you can kind of change them up how you want. Like if you want to have like the catcher on the right or the left and so on, you can do all of that. So I'm just leave this up on the screen for a second. So if you wanted to pause that, you could always look at that later and kind of come back to it. But there's that. So I'm going to, as you can see in my final drawing here, I'm going to have them like kind of rolling around like this to kind of blend into those fireworks. So I'm going to leave those guys right here just so I can kind of eyeball them, and we'll take it. So I'll do this a little quicker for you guys here. So I'm going to draw these, but a little bit smaller as they come across. So let's see. So my catcher, I'm going to draw this part of his mask right there. And he's kind of got this little bend right there. And another one here. And let's put in the back part of that helmet. And here's like the brim. I think the catcher is probably my favorite one of the neons. I always thought this was really cool. That's, and that's because Gary Carter is my favorite player, so that would probably hold a special place. Let's add that glove in. I drew mine a little too big, but that's okay. I'll just make it a little smaller at the bottom. Arm right there. This little part of his leg. Got his buns right there. He's bent down. A leg there. Now, if you're like me, if you drew it too big, no worries. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it like, it looks like it's coming out of the stadium a little bit. So now let's draw that baseball player. I'm going to draw this guy right here, the guy hitting the ball. So I'll come up here. I'm going to draw mine a little smaller so I can fit him in. So I'll just have his head up here, the back of his helmet. His head right there. And this right here. What's cool is I know that the 7 line has, I don't know if they still have it there. We'll have to ask Darren later, but like they had the hat. You guys had the hats and some of the graphic on a t-shirt or something, if I believe correctly. So if they still have that and you got a $10 gift card, I recommend doing one of those. Those are pretty cool.
So we have this definitely still have those, guys.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
Yeah, we've been doing the neons for number of years now. So if anyone's watching, they want to check it out, go to the7line.com. We got all the neon different characters on hats for now. So check it out. Thanks for the plug there.
Hats are awesome.
Thanks for the plug, Herm.
Hey, no worries. I love it. But yeah, those hats are sick. They can look pretty cool. All right, cool. So we got
Some people are probably very confused right now, like the voice from the clouds. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That's right. But basically, I have an intercom in my living room, and Darren calls in every now and then. So it's kind of nice. So, we're besties. All right. So we got our catcher, our batter. Now we're going to have our guy running. So again, if you want to follow along, I'm kind of keeping this in frame so you can kind of see it at a bigger point. So let's see. So we got our little bit of our helmet and our brim. A little face. It's our arm. I love you guys can hear my dog barking. She's so cute. There's our arm there. We'll drop it in. So while we're adding this in, like we always like to do, where are you guys drawing from? Let us know in the comments down there. It's one of my favorite things, you know, as we continue with our art classes. It's like we got this like art club, right? And it's cool when you guys share your drawings. I'm starting to see a lot of the same people and such. So thanks for everyone tuning in. If this is your multiple drawing, it's awesome. It's really fun, right? So that one's not that great. That's all right. We'll cover them with some fireworks. And then our last one we're going to have is sky catching. This one's kind of fun too with a little baseball. So I'll have this up here. Yeah, we have people from LA drawing in. Where else? You know, a lot of people in the States, you know, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey. Internationally, I know we got people in Milan. Caitlin, how you doing? Which is always really fun. People from Japan, which is pretty cool. Australia. We're international here in art class with Herm. Mets fans all over. Pop it in. And then we have like the back of our leg. And then for fun, there's just like this little baseball that he's catching. Cool. All right. So this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. Excuse me. We're done drawing, you know? So now what we're going to do is we're going to color it. So these are the colors that I'm going to do. So let's color it in together. Cool, right? So let me color in my Shea Stadium there. I cannot wait to see everybody's Shea Stadium drawings in here. So basically, I'm going to kind of fill in this whole thing in blue, except the white areas, like this part up here, that part that we blocked in, I'm going to leave that part white. So I'm just throwing some blue up here. Kind of get it there. And I'll throw this in. So I'm going to just color over these guys that we drew on here, these neons. And then I'll just put the orange crayon right over it. Now, you can make these guys any colors that you want. I'm just going to keep them blue. This is a little bit easier to fill that in. Pop that all in blue there. So this Shea Stadium drawing actually came in as a suggestion from one of our fellow artists. So let me know in the comments, too, any ideas that you have for drawings. So I'll show you what we're going to be doing on Friday, our next class. But we still got a lot of time. It looks like, you know, in order to stay safe for all of our first responders and our doctors and nurses and everybody helping us out at the grocery stores and stuff, as we stay inside, we'll keep making these drawings to make it a little bit easier for everyone, so we can have a good time and kind of take our minds off things for a while. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to draw. Is there another Mets moment, another baseball thing you wanted to draw on there? Certain players, certain moments. That stuff's really fun. All right, so I'm going to color in these little squares here. Just add a little bit of a black in there, a little bit of a shadow, you can see. It's kind of like I'm just coloring in that middle part. Just in those little squares. It's almost like a fly swatter in a way. Up in that area. Now what I'm doing is I'm just taking this black crayon here, and I'm just like kind of lightly putting it in there. That way you can still see through. And then you can go in later and add a little bit more shadows and tones and all that kind of stuff on there. But you know me, I like to say what's really fun about a crayon is it's like a fun tool, right? You know, there's no like, you don't have to follow the lines. You know, I think it looks really cool if your lines are a little sporadic. If they're not following the line so much, it's just kind of popped in there. It's just a fun little technique. Throwing that in, coloring it in. There it is. All right, cool. So that's my drawing right there. So now I'm going to take my orange, and these lines right here, I'm just going to trace those basically. Push down a little harder to kind of give it this like little glow. You see that? Kind of fun, right? So if you guys want to draw with what I'm drawing with, it's like ink. This is a brush pen. You can kind of get these anywhere, which is really cool. What I like about it is it's got like a tip, and you can always refill the ink if you needed, which is neat. But the reason that I'm talking about the brush pen is I like it because you can put the line in there and then you can color right over it. Especially if you're using like watercolor or gouache or crayon and stuff, it won't smear once it dries, which is nice. All right, so there's that. So now at the top, let's draw in some fireworks. So I'm just going to draw these little kind of lines in there. Now, I'm the worst firework drawer. It's not something my brain can wrap around. So let's see what your fireworks look like if they're better than mine. Maybe you could teach me something. And I'm just keeping everything blue and orange. We'll keep it on brand, as they say. But while you're coloring, let me know too. Is anybody at that? Is anybody at any of the Beatles concerts that were at Shea or any of the concerts? I mean, I think the only one I ever went to was the Billy Joel one, but I know there were a bunch. Let us know. That must be pretty cool. And then with this, I'm just using some blue and orange to kind of fill in these lines here. So no rhyme or reason to it. Just kind of filling that in. I throw that in there. I'm almost done. What's cool too, you guys can draw maybe some airplanes coming up here, the home run apple coming up here. It's your drawing. That's one of the cool things about when everybody shares their drawing. It's fun to see like the creativeness of it. You know, some people add flowers and maybe the train going by. Oh, do you guys remember at Shea, there was like when you come off the 7 train, there was that big platform and you could like almost see into the stadium. I always thought that was so cool. It was like towards the back, so I guess it would be like in this area up here. Yeah, you can see pictures online of people like sitting there and like trying to watch like some of the World Series and things. I always thought that was so cool. As a wee Herm, full head of hair on my head, not a care in the world. All right, so that's pretty good for this. So feel free to continue on that as much as you'd like. But pretty cool, right? You guys did a great job. Mine is crazy. So I can't wait to see how everybody is. I swear to God, I drew this one. Look at that. That's nice. A little crazy. This is me talking and drawing. Anyway, I'll show that right there. I can't not wait to see your drawings on there. So, which is really cool. So thanks so much for drawing with me. Before we end on here, what I like to suggest is it's best to sign your drawing, right? So we've been doing that in all of our classes here. So I'm going to sign mine on the bottom right kind of corner on there. I saw my name. Little Herm right there. A little smiley face. And I recommend dating your drawing too. So today is April 29th. I'll do April 29, 2020. So if you're watching this in the future, we're in the year 2020. It's crazy. And I can't believe it's the end of April. But the reason that I like to date my drawings is so you can look back in time and see how your progress was. You know, if drawing is something that you really love, practice makes perfect, just like anything, right? So you can look back and say like, oh man, you know, in April 29th, it was okay, but on May 5th, I did so much better and I learned this part and this part. So you can add all that stuff in there, which is really neat. So you could take that. And as always, I really want to see your drawing. We all want to see your drawing. We're a nice crew right here, nice family, right? So let's share our drawings. So this is the best way to do it, as you can see on our handy dandy hot dog. So on Instagram, make sure to tag me at Herm Herman. This is the best way to get in contact with me. I love Instagram. I'll always comment and repost and do all that stuff. I love to see your drawings. If Twitter is your thing, you can find me on hermsterms.com. Somebody has Herm Herman. Sigh. Anyway, you can go on hermsterms.com. You can tag them in there. We'll repost them and check them all out. And don't forget to tag the 7 line too. So this way we can take a nice glimpse of all of our drawings and look at them. And as we do with our other drawings, we'll pick some of our favorite ones or some ones that came out really great, and we'll absolutely share them and maybe give them a gift card too. And if you want to see some more of my work too, maybe not just Mets drawings, you can go to hermsterms.com. You can see all of the other illustration work that I've done. And there's also a little print shop on there too. I put up some Pete Alonso drawings I did if you wanted to check those out. But thanks so much for coming and joining along. Before we go, guys want to see what we're going to draw our next class? Yeah, you do. We're gonna draw Dom Smith, one of my favorite players. I think that'll be pretty cool. He's awesome member of the Cookie Club, which is pretty neat. So if this is something that you want to draw, well, we'll be here on Friday at noon. So Wednesdays and Fridays for the foreseeable future, we'll be here drawing Met stuff, drawing baseball, talking fun. You can hear all my corny jokes. So if that's something that sounds exciting to you, I'll see you then. But thanks again so much for drawing, guys. You were awesome. Don't forget to share your drawings, and I can't wait to see you soon. See you then.